In this video, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and say why the sword is the best weapon in the game. And that's a problem. Not because the sword is good, but what makes it good is the issue, and it needs to change. The sword has gone through many iterations in this game. It's been tweaked, tuned, and twisted over the game's life cycle. I'll try to summarise this as briefly as I can for those who have joined at various points in the game. At launch, the sword was changed so that your camera didn't snap to your opponent when striking. This caused a magnetism effect where two players would look directly at one another when hitting a swing. At launch, the sword behaved very similar to the first one, but if you missed a player or object, you would be slowed, similar to missing a lunge, but you could still move around and look. This was then removed in February 2019, in response to the meta of double gunning. For a long time, double gunning was the way to go in Sea of Thieves, as you could shoot quickly in succession with a tiny delay, combined with a tighter hipfire for the eye of reach, causing players to get killed instantly. This had left a bad taste in the players' mouths, causing people to ask for a cutlass buff. In the very next patch, they made it so you had to hit a player or NPC to follow up with a second or third strike, in order to alleviate sword spamming, where you could hit anything and continue to spam your combo. In Fort of the Damned, we received a nerf to the sword, where the range was reduced. Believe it or not, it used to be much further. Finally, we got a buff in the Ships of Fortune update to bring the damage up to 25 damage per swing and 60 per lunge. This significantly improved the time to kill, and I think this is where the issue lies for most people. Personally, the damage isn't a problem, as I think it brings it more in line with the other three weapons in the sandbox. Of course, a lot of issues with the sword are simply tied to the netcode and, of course, hit reg. Blah blah blah, we know the story, but significant amount of bullshit occurs because of these issues. These tend to be being killed when you're clearly out of range of the sword's blade, and being killed when you are blocking. The reason why the sword is the best weapon is because anyone can get kills with it. Granted, great sword users are really hard to beat, but anyone could just spam and get kills with it. Why is this? Well, in the past, if you were being attacked and got locked into an enemy's combo, you couldn't just spam M1 back. You had to block and wait for the combo to finish, then respond with yours. Nowadays, because of hit reg and server issues, you have M1 lords hitting you through your combo, where in fact, they haven't taken any damage. This randomness inherently lowers the skill gap and gave rise to the sword lord and M1 spammer derogatory term. On a quick note though, learn the difference between the sword lord and the actual good sword users. You can't just use that term for anyone that uses the sword. Another element of the sword being so broken is the interrupt effect that occurs when hit. This is meant to be visual feedback, but ends up interrupting your muscle memory when reloading and eating because the animation is interrupted on your screen. On top of that, the animation is very oppressive and causes players to panic, as you now know you're in the sword range of the enemy. It's only a matter of seconds before you're dead. Not only this, but if you're trying to move away, you get a slight stun effect, which prevents sprinting. An enemy that is sprinting away shouldn't be interrupted, as they're already unable to shoot or reload their weapon, so they are inherently on the back foot. This means the sword gives you very little room for error when escaping, and there's no penalty to missing like the guns have, where you're essentially defenseless. If these things got fixed, then the sword would feel like a much better weapon in the current meta. I really don't think the damage is too high, but these issues stacked on top of it make it feel and perform a lot better than the other weapons. You don't have to rely on ammo, you get enhanced mobility with it, you can hop through enemies, and it's a weapon that does have alternative tactics, such as sword lunging and hopping. These factors also make it my favourite weapon. But the other weapons also have issues too. You didn't think I was just going to rag on a sword alone, did you? Let's start with the Blunderbuss, which is the biggest mixed bag in the game. You can get one shot at point blank, or you can get no damage at all due to hit reg. This is the secondary weapon of choice for most double gunners, where they'll use it to mop up the last 30% of the health you have after being shot by the eye of reach. Personally, I have no real issue with this weapon, apart from maybe it can one-shot you and is prone to really bad backtracking. The knockback is super high too, and allegedly, if you shoot someone in the legs, it's even worse. When testing this, we couldn't really replicate it. It seems it's more focused on the angle where you're being shot from, rather than if you're being shot in the legs or not. This weapon would be much better if the pellet spread wasn't random. There should be a predictable spread rather than random spread each time you fire. That way, this would take a lot of the RNG out of the Blunderbuss. Moving on swiftly to the pistol, which is the best gun in the game but has one major drawback. It reloads faster than both the Blunder and Eye of Reach, it does 55 damage which can reliably two-shot people, it has really tight hipfire spread so you don't have to wait for the ADS animation, and some models have an iron sight to give you an even clearer view of your target. Of course, it can shoot people quicker than you can eat food, so you can have anything from a banana to a piece of cooked Kraken meat, but if someone fires a follow-up shot as soon as they're able to, there's nothing you can do. This is in theory of course, if you start eating the moment they take damage, then they can survive. The thing that really drags this down is it suffers from the worst hit reg and low projectile speed. In most cases, it won't really be affected by range, but definitely exacerbates the number of missed shots you get from hit reg. And another slight downside is that you can survive a pistol shot as long as you eat anything before being shot again, be it a banana or a piece of megalodon meat. As it only deals 55 damage, that leaves you with 45 health. Eating a banana grants 20 health back, meaning you will survive the second shot with 10 health, effectively nullifying its quick shot capabilities. The window for the second shot is tiny and will be hard to take advantage of unless you're a great player. Now onto the undisputed best gun in the game, the Eye of Reach. The Eye of Reach has many advantages and its disadvantages are pretty much non-existent. You'll see why shortly. The Eye of Reach does 70 damage, making it the most reliable 2-shot kill in the game, obviously hit reg notwithstanding. It has the fastest projectile speed, meaning you don't have to lead targets as much, you can hit enemies from further away, and marginally less prone to hit reg issues. Of course, you get the scope as well to enlarge targets, which is really useful even at close range. The downsides are the slow reload time and the glint produced by the scope. But I will also tell you that the reload speed is not really relevant. In the time it takes to reload the sniper, you can eat one piece of food, but if you have anything worse than a mango, you need to eat twice before you can survive. The pomegranates give you 40 points of health, which puts you on 70 health, meaning you're still in the 2-shot range. And in that time it takes to eat again, the enemy has loads of time to finish you off. You're only surviving it if you eat the mango or better. Another thing we discovered while testing is that the higher tiers of food will grant you your health back quicker, where if you eat a mango after being shot by the Eye of Reach, you can survive 3 sword hits before you die. If you use anything lower, then you die in 2 sword hits. I think the Eye of Reach would need a slight damage nerf to allow people to eat a pomegranate and survive, which means you can survive 2 sword hits too. But other than that, the weapon is in a great place. If they just reduce the damage by a little bit, it relies more on skill rather than the other person having bad food to get a kill. With that being said, this is just a small piece of the puzzle when getting PvP back to the level we should be seeing for Sea of Thieves. And finally, a huge thank you to Frog Rambo for helping with this video. I couldn't have done it without you, so thanks again. This week's Obsidian 6-pack giveaway question is, what is your favourite weapon? Comment your answer down below and make sure to include your gamertag as it appears in Sea of Thieves. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and if you want, you can leave a like, but that's completely optional. Winners are on the screen from last week, so good luck everyone. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.